So for named entity recognition, we're going to continue using the spaCy package. We're also going to import displaycy to do some nice visuals and the tokenizer from spaCy. We're also going to be importing the RE package as we're doing a little bit of cleaning in this lesson. As in the last lesson, we start by initializing our spaCy model. We'll name it NLP, and then we use spaCy.load and the model that we want to use. The text for the example we're going to be using is just pulled off the Google Wikipedia page, so we're going to name it Google Text, and then I'll print that out and you can have a little bit of a look at that. We'll then create our spaCy document, so we'll use NLP, and then within the brackets we reference our text, our Google Text. And then we can use the for loop, so for each word in our spaCy doc. Here we're using the .ents. We'll print the word, so the token, and then the associated label. This label is going to be the entity label. Once this is printed out, you can see what I mean. So it's picked up the dates, it's picked up people, organisations, percentages, loads of different information has come out of just this small piece of text. We can then use the displaycy render function to create a really nice visual of the different entities within our text. So we use displaycy.render, and then the first argument in the brackets is our spaCy document. Then we specify the style, and we specify it's within a Jupyter notebook. Once we run that, we get a really nice visual where our text has been tagged with all the different entities and they're grouped by different colours. This is really nice if you're kind of putting together a presentation or you just like a more visual notebook to work with. It's a really nice function to use. So let's see what happens to our named entity recognition once we clean up this text a little bit. So we'll create our Google Text Clean and then use the RE sub function to remove punctuation. You'll be familiar with this regex from previous lessons. We also append the .lower function to this just to get it all into lowercase and without punctuation in one nice clean line. So once we print this out, you can see how it looks a little different now. The punctuation's gone and it's all in lowercase. So we create a new spaCy document with our clean dataset and we name it spaCy.clean. And again, we'll iterate through each word in our spaCy document, this time using the spaCy.clean, and we'll print out each word and their associated entity tags. So you can see here a lot less has been picked up because we've removed that punctuation and those capital letters. Again, we can use the displaycy function here to get this into a more visual format. So if you're doing named entity recognition, it's really important to consider at what point in your analysis and your data cleaning you do this kind of work, because if you've cleaned up the text too much because you're doing some machine learning later, it's not going to pick up those entities. So do think about at what point you want to do it. You might want to do it before you do your pre-processing, do a little bit of pre-processing and then test it again. You might need to do some pre-processing to pull out additional entities also. So it's really good to just get familiar with your data, check through it, be aware of what's in there, and then pre-process accordingly and do your analysis at the appropriate point.